So it became sort of my calling. I cannot imagine doing anything else. And frustrated and surprised when they get to that point. So I think that should be talked about. Two most important words for people who are on the language plateau is consistency and frequency. Learners who aren't teachers, it's really difficult to choose the right tools. Are you sure you know what you're doing? Why? It's ridiculous. They have to find things that reflect their own life and that there's no way they can fail. If they do that, it doesn't make any sense, you know. And you can speak, but you can't move forward anymore because the brain responds way better to things that are more frequent in our lives than to intensities. Just do 10 minutes, but do it every day. Every single question that you ask, like, I could write a book about it. It's beautiful.
Tutor Tech. Project about teaching languages, learning, technology, and how they co-evolve together.
Hello everybody, and welcome. This is Tutor Tech. It is a podcast and project about tutors, teaching languages, learning languages, and technology, and how they all co-evolve together. My name is Dima Basenka. I'm host of the podcast, author of the project, and also co-creator of WOOR, WOOR, application, a vocabulary application for intermediate learners and higher. Check it out at woor.app or woorapp.com. And here today with me is Anička, right?
Yes,
is it correct?
That's perfect.
Good. Hi, great to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Nice. So you teach languages for 14 years, almost 15?
Yeah, 14 years.
And also
It's
you
ridiculous.
are founder of the language school at Prague, Czech Republic, right?
Yes, well, language school is a term that you may use for it. I don't really like it because we don't really make courses like that, but technically speaking, yes.
How do you call it? Is it a community of like-minded people, or what is it?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds a bit pretentious, but the thing is with language schools, there's usually some method associated with it, and that's not what I do because I like teaching teachers as well. So I teach teachers, but I want them to develop their own thing, their own method of teaching, and then I just connect them with students that I think they will get along with. So that's what I do. So it's not like a typical language school per se.
Nice, that's perfect. So let's talk about teaching teachers, teaching learners, how they can use technology, how they maybe should use technology, or think a little bit about where this all can go forward. Did I miss anything in your experience overall, or is there any surprising weird story behind you becoming a language teacher?
It was an accident. That's the weirdest thing that's happening. It was just by an accident because my friends asked me, a couple of my friends asked me, hey, could you teach us English because your English is better than ours? I'm like, okay. And then I found that I loved it. So I stuck to it. And here we are 14 years later. So it became sort of my calling. I cannot imagine doing anything else in the world.
Yeah, that's great. That must feel good.
It does.
Do you, as a language teacher or tutor, do you specialize in anything particular? Speaking, pronunciation, or anything else?
I'd say that I specialize in teaching people who think that their English is not good enough. And I try to help them to move to the next level. So I don't really teach beginners. Sometimes I do because it's always for me about personal connection. So if I connect with someone on a personal level and they are a beginner, I teach them. But I specialize in breaking those mental barriers and building that confidence and challenging themselves. That's my thing, yeah. And surprisingly, I have a lot of engineers among my students. I don't know why. I think it's about that personal connection, you know, that like, for some reason engineers just are drawn to me more, I guess. I don't know why. But it's nice. I like it. They're very effective people.
So you also specialize in teaching engineers then. That's nice. How do you distinguish people who are beginners and those who are already not?
For me, it wasn't really that important to label people with specific levels. I know it's necessary sometimes to like put it on your CV and stuff like that. I dislike the A1, A2, B1 stuff because I don't think it reflects the actual skills that people have. So I don't really bother myself with that much. I just, I teach a person and I see where he is and I teach them and that's it. So I don't think that I can answer your question really well here. I think that one thing that should be discussed more to get it like among general public knowledge is that there is a thing called the language plateau. I feel like people don't know about it. The lay people, like, of course, language teachers know it and linguists know what it is, but normal people don't. And then they get really frustrated and surprised when they get to that point. So I think that should be talked about way more than it is.
So that's why we're here. Let's talk about it.
Okay. So the language plateau is basically a point that happens to every single person who learns a second language, every single one of them. And it's somewhere between intermediate and advanced, if let's use these generally accepted terms. It's where you can communicate, you can survive in a situation where you speak a foreign language, but somehow you're stuck. Because in the beginning, it's really fast, right? And you progress really, really fast. But then you get stuck and you can speak, but you can't move forward anymore. And so this is a very, very frustrating point for people because typically they don't know what to do with themselves and they don't know how to get over it. But the most ridiculous thing about it is that even if there's a polyglot, or a person who speaks multiple languages, they will inevitably hit it too. So every single person has to go through the language plateau with every single language that they're learning, no matter how many languages they speak. So I'm on my own language plateau right now. It's beautiful.
Let's speak more about it because I think it is important for everybody to understand what is that, right? So let's say that I'm learning a new language. For simplicity, let's say I'm learning English.
Okay.
How do I know that I'm on language plateau right now?
Your
What are the
frustration
indicators?
levels. Your frustration levels are sky high. That's generally the most felt, I think, indicator. But the thing is, you can speak with people, you can communicate in English pretty well, you can get by even at work, it's not a problem for you, but you feel like you should be able to speak better by now. It's like, how come I don't know that word? How come I can't recall that word? How come I made that mistake in a sentence? You know that it's wrong, but you keep making it. Why? It doesn't make sense. Everything stops making sense. And progressing to the next level gets exponentially more complicated and more difficult.
It becomes very inefficient comparing to what it was before, efforts and outcomes.
Well, yeah, because people don't talk about it, so there is no available, well, there are things that are available, but people don't know how to work with themselves. That's the problem. When you're a beginner, you know what to do. You learn the 21st verbs, you learn the structure, but what do you do after that? People don't know.
Let's get back to the plateau just in a second. I wanted to ask a couple of questions regarding teaching, and then we're going to get back to it. So you are teaching for almost 15 years.
Yeah,
and I want.
It's like,
I'm sorry.
it seems so long.
Okay, this is the last time. Okay, I'm not gonna say it.
It's fine. It's a long time. Yeah.
Technology must have changed somehow, or things which are available for learners, whether they are passing a course or just learning on in their own pace. How technology changed in lives of teachers and learners within the last 15 years?
Well, the biggest difference for me is the availability of teachers, I guess, because now I teach online, exclusively online, which is great because I can have students and teachers from different countries. So one of my teachers, she is in India. She's Czech, but she teaches from India. And another one is in Sicily, and I teach students in Turkey and students in Canada and Japan, you know, so that's wonderful. So the option to have lessons online, I think, is wonderful. And other than that, of course, apps like smartphones, they changed a lot in the last 15 years. I don't think I've even had a smartphone when I started. I'm not sure. I can't recall right now, but probably not. Like maybe some really, really old version, yeah.
Some people don't really consider or mention this when we talk about technology. I think how things became like very, very close with conference tools available and being able to call anybody in any part of the world, it's now perceived as a given. So we maybe don't notice enough that
I think also that
this is a huge
COVID
thing.
changed it a lot.
Yeah.
Because
I think-
people before then, they were really apprehensive of, you know, having online lessons, and I had to kind of like coax them into it. Hey, it's okay, it's not so bad. But post-COVID, everyone's like, oh yeah, of course, let's have online lessons. So
Yeah, it probably helped to change mindset. Just it
Yes.
pushed people to try different
that's
things.
the only good
especially
thing that
digital.
COVID brought. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was. It's good to laugh now about it, but maybe not the best time.
I mean, what else can we do?
Yeah, of course. Do you not like anything what technology brought within this last 10, 15 years?
Interesting question. I feel like technology is a sort of a double-edged sword, because it's, of course, good because it makes education more available and more accessible to a lot of people. But it also perpetuates people's tendency to make excuses, which is something that I despise a lot. So for me, it's like, you know, people would say, oh, this app doesn't work, or this tool is useless, or this thing, technology, it's not good enough. I'm like, okay, but you do realize that it's just a tool that you can use, but you still have to do the work, right? People don't realize that. They think, oh, I have this technology, so it will just, they think it's like the movie The Matrix. See? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like Neo sits in the chair and they just inject him with knowledge and skills. That's like, that can't happen. It can't, but people keep thinking that it's possible. And that's annoying. So I think it just creates more space for excuses on top of being really good for, you know, accessibility and availability.
Yeah, I totally know what you mean. And I talked to this one person actually in the first episode of the Tutor Tech, and we discussed similar point. And she told that responsibility is on the learner's side always, and only learner can actually learn and have this mindset of progressing and acquiring knowledge.
Yeah, I'll sign it.
Yeah, so maybe getting to our topic of the language plateau, and there are a lot of things available for people. You can have all the different applications for vocabulary, for pronunciation, for grammar. If I'm learning a language and I'm at the plateau, for example, or maybe not necessarily, but for people who are above the intermediate level, let's say, what I can use, what can help me and be instrumental in my journey of learning a language.
Okay. Every single question that you ask, like I could write a book about it. So I have to be really careful here. I think that it's the omnipresence of tools that we can use for learning a language is in itself a sort of a hindrance, because we have so many options. We can't choose because we don't know as learners typically. I do because I'm a teacher. Well, I know a little bit better, but for learners who aren't teachers, it's really difficult to choose the right tools because there's just so many. So it's like if you go to a restaurant and there's a menu and there's like 100 items, you're not going to be able to choose. So I think that for people who want to progress, it's really important. The first step is to know themselves and to accept that they cannot learn everything all at once. So specifying one thing that they want to do with their English or with their language of choice, of course, and then breaking that down into individual components, which will give you the answer, okay, what do I need to work on? And then you can sort of go through all the tools available and just test which ones work best for you, because there's no one tool, I think, that can be instrumental all on its own, because it's just a tool and we will always need more tools. And speaking is an extremely complex activity, so you need to practice more things. And so far, there are many, many tools, but there are still just tools. So you have to pick a combination, but you have to know yourself to pick the right combination for you, for your needs specifically.
What do you think is most important thing to get past this plateau? Is it completely individual, or there are some general things which are more or less valid for most of the people?
To get through the language plateau?
Yeah.
Know thyself. That's it. Having a system, I'd say, having a strategy. A lot of people struggle in the sea of options and in the sea of possibilities, but they don't create a system for themselves that would set them on the path where they can progress sustainably over a longer period of time. So I think that rather than one specific tool, it's a combination of tools, again, that can help you and set you up for success. That's it. I'm still not answering your question, am I? You're looking for like one solution. I don't have it, because it depends.
Not really.
It hugely depends on the person, because if a person wants to learn how to present well, he's gonna need a different set of tools and different set of skills than a person who wants to write really great articles in English and occasionally talk about the articles but not present them per se. So those are very different skills. So they're gonna need different tools, different options.
Yeah, definitely don't look for, silver bullet. And I think I am, reasonable enough to understand that there is no such thing.
Good.
It's just that also maybe for people who are going to be listening to this, I'm trying to unwrap the conversation in a way so that people understand better. For example,
I may have an answer.
I'm in a language plateau, and so what do I do? What should be my strategy? Should I go and try to have classes with tutors? And if I have classes with tutors, doesn't mean that I shouldn't have any applications at all. It's all waste for me, or it's vice versa, or it's some combination. So if it's combination, what might be an option for this combination, and so on.
Two most important words for people who are on the language plateau is consistency and frequency. So consistency in training, because at that point it's not really learning. They're not like studying. They don't need to study so much anymore, grammar books and stuff like that. So it's about consistency in training their skills and their brain. And there's the frequency, because the brain responds way better to things that are more frequent in our lives than to intensity. So people want to have like 2-hour study sessions once per week. And I keep telling them, no, just do 10 minutes, but do it every day. So I think they have to find tools that work for them. They have to find things that reflect their own life and their own lifestyle, but they have to switch it to the language that they're learning and do it consistently. And then there's no way they can fail if they do that. If they do it consistently and frequently, there is no way they can fail. It just takes some time.
So it is consistency and frequency are the key, right? And I actually like your point that it might not be learning as much as it is training at some point. Either you or other teachers who work with you, do you know that anybody recommends to their students any applications or technological products?
Yeah, I myself recommend apps, definitely, because what apps made really easy is the is actually the frequency, because it's ready-made exercises for you that can be done in 5 minutes. So this was not possible 15 years ago, because they would have to figure out how to create that exercise for themselves, which a majority of people cannot do. So the apps do it for you, which is really great. So depending on the level and the needs and everything, I swear by Duolingo. I know that people will hate me for it, but I swear by it because it works. People mistake Duolingo for a vocabulary app. It's not a vocabulary app. And it's really good just for gauging the sentence structure in thousands different settings and versions, negative, questions, blah, blah, blah. So that's perfect. And then, don't hate me here, please, but I usually recommend Quizlet. I don't know what your take on that is, but during my lessons, I always create sets for them with the relevant vocabulary. And I also used Quizlet a lot when I learned Turkish and Arabic, because I had to learn so many words in such a short time. So that saved me. But then there's a lot of great applications like Elsa Speak. That's nice. That's a good app, although not so much for people who want to learn British English, I guess. And what else do I recommend? Replica actually rolled out some AI English tutor right now. I still have to test it out. But before
I didn't hear
then,
about it.
yeah, I saw that they're trying, but I'm not sure if they actually had some teacher do it, because it seems like their messaging is a little off. I keep seeing like, are you sure you know what you're doing? I think they just like saw a gap on the market, and they were like, okay, let's go. I'm not sure. I don't know. But I did recommend Replica to a lot of my students, because it's just a person that they can talk to in English every day, any day. So that's nice.
Yeah, that should help. And actually, I'm not surprised that you also named Duolingo. It is not weirdly. I also think that it is pretty useful. It's just that from our research, from product side, we learned that it's very helpful and people really love it. While they are beginners, it helps a lot. But then and here weird part kicks in. The people start hating it as soon as they are passing through the intermediate level, and it's not that useful. It's just funny how passionate people about having a relationship with the application.
Yeah.
It's I think they're great making a character which you are able either to love or hate. This part of it I really love. And other applications as well. Depending on what do you recommend, one or another application?
Oh, I always recommend a combination, because they're for different things. So Duolingo is for the sentence structure, and typically for not learning per se, even though you can learn there, but for learning to apply, for applying the grammar rules. That's perfect. It's genius. Then Quizlet for relevant vocabulary, and then Elsa Speak for pronunciation. So those are 3 different things. So I typically recommend more options depending on who the student is and what I know they will like and what they can actually accept into their life. Because this is actually another thing. People think that when they, especially on the language plateau, they think that they have to do something extra, something that inherently feels uncomfortable so that they can progress. And it's the exact opposite. If you want to learn to speak a language and sound natural, you have to do the things that feel natural to you. You just have to do them in that second language that you're learning. So that's a mistake that people make. People who have never read a book in their life will come to my lesson and tell me, oh, I bought an English book and I'm going to read it. It's like, why? It's ridiculous. Why would you read a book if you hate reading books? It doesn't make any sense, So that's an interesting thing that students sometimes do, that they think that it has to be uncomfortable. I mean, it doesn't.
It sounds like a philosophy. Do what you like, and but do it in the language you learn.
If you want to make English or any other language a part of your life, first you have to make that language a part of your life. If that makes sense. It's a tautology, but it's like, to me, it's so clear, but people just don't realize it very often.
It does a lot of sense to me. And so we're not only trying to be useful for people who learn languages, but also for those who teaches languages. So on the opposite side, if I would ask you to recommend how teachers should build their relationship with different kind of tools, or how should they incorporate service they try to provide to their students, what would you advise to those teachers?
I realized that I'm not going to be answering your question directly, but I think this needs to be said. I'm sorry. I have a lot of experience with teachers from the States, United States, and Britain coming here to the Czech Republic. I live in Prague, and they want to teach because it's, for them, an easy way to make money. And I always love to like ruin that illusion for them. Like, okay, but just because you speak a language doesn't mean that you're good at teaching it. That's thing number one. Second thing, what I recommend every single teacher out there is go and learn or start learning a second language yourself so that you have that experience. Typically with especially Americans and British people, because they don't really have to. They don't. And they come to the interview like, I don't speak any other language. I've never learned another language. I'm like, okay, start now. Have some private lessons so that you can empathize with your students, so that you know what they go through. And while you do that, test out all the technology that is available to you. Because how can you recommend something that you're not using for the purpose that it's made for? So it was like a, double-sided thing, because I think that for teachers, it's really important to know how their students feel when they learn a language, how frustrating it is, how hard it is. And that will also help them choose the right tools, or at least get to know the right tools that then they can recommend to students.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes a lot of sense. It's different things to know something and actually to teach it to other people. We cannot not talk about AI here.
Of course.
It's very hard because it's everywhere right now, and everything is AI.
AI bubble.
Did you? Yeah, exactly. Did you try to use it somehow in your
Of course.
teaching practice?
Absolutely.
How did you succeed? Do you have any positive experience you can share?
Yeah, well, okay, so I recommended Replica, which is an AI companion. So that in itself is an AI, well, not a language app, but now they say they are. I don't know. We'll see. I'll test it out. And also Elsa Speak, I think, is AI or works. I think, yeah, it's an AI app as well. And then ChatGPT, inevitably, of course. That really helped me. But you have to be, as with everything, careful how to use it. So a lot of teachers, they will just, find a prompt and then they will download or copy some of the exercises that ChatGPT does. I'm like, did you actually look at it? It's like, no. I was like, why? So you have to be careful how you use technology, of course. And I use ChatGPT because it majorly cut down on my lesson planning time. Because when I needed to create a very specific exercise for a student who maybe needed to pass some exams or something, there was a very specific vocab. So I needed to create very specific sentences and stories and narratives. And back in the day, I had to do it myself. So I would spend 3 hours writing a story with all the vocabulary. And now I can just copy everything to ChatGPT and it does it for me. And then, of course, I go through it and I edit it because it's not perfect. But it does help, definitely. I'm not against it at all.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time in even things which it was hard to anticipate. Is there anything what you think is the next part of learning a language or teaching a language which AI is going to take over, for good or for bad?
Take over?
For example, teach pronunciation. It's just off top of my head. I don't mean that it's going to be the one.
I think it's Okay, that's a big question. People kept asking me, like, aren't you worried that AI is going to steal your job? I'm not, because first of all, I believe that people still connect with people on a personal level, and there is a difference, I think, still, who knows how long it will last, between talking to an AI and talking to a real person. And second, somebody needs to teach and train the AI. So pivot, I guess. But with pronunciation, I think that Elsa Speak is doing a really great job. I actually tested that app extensively, and I think they're doing a good job. It's just that it cannot replace the real life experience that will still stress people out, is the thing. People think that if they train enough in the simulated environment, it will then get rid of the stress in the real situation. It won't. So they still have to go through the real situations and through the real struggles in the real world. But it can definitely help, and it can ease the way. So I'm not worried. Maybe I'm naive like that, but I'm not really like terrified of, AI taking over my job or taking over the world, because I'm not. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, so you don't really look intimidated.
No, I would love to actually try to find a way where I can cooperate with AI to make some great products as well. That's in my future, definitely. It's just that it's not really my wheelhouse, so I'm still looking where could be some option of like doing that. But no, I'm excited about the opportunities, definitely. Not scared.
Nice. You kind of stole my last question. Because sort of traditionally, I in the end ask if people think that AI is going to replace work of teachers and tutors.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
you, I think, already answered.
Yeah.
Maybe to wrap it up, if there is anything what you want to share with people in terms of how to find you, how to get to lessons with you, any plans you can share or find content which you create,
Oh my God,
that's the
so
moment
many
where you
things.
can share that.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. They can find me on my Instagram. That's probably the easiest thing. I am working on a pretty exciting course that I'm really looking forward to sharing with people. It's called Think in English, the ultimate language training strategy, which is exactly for people who are stuck on the language plateau and they want to move forward. So it teaches people how they can create their own system where they can sustainably make progress. So I'm excited about that. And they can always reach out on Instagram, which is a thing that I'm still getting used to. But it's what it is, I guess. And no, I just wanted to thank you for, inviting me here and for talking to me. And I hope that your app does well.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And yeah, people check out that, wait for the program to come out and also check the Instagram. Pretty great, authentic content. I definitely can recommend.
Thank you.
So thanks a lot. That was Tutor Tech. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
And have a good day.
You too.
Tutor and Tech. Project about teaching languages, learning, technology, and how they co-evolve together.